Hey y'all, I'm JamesWright, and welcome back to Wizards News. Today I want to talk about several different methods that you can use to get absolutely no damage at all in a Fortress Chamber battle, as well as a few other tips and tricks that will really help you out along the way. So let's dive in and take a look at these. If you have started going into the higher chambers in a tower, you will soon find out that the foes there can hit really hard and do a lot of damage very quickly. And that is one of the biggest drawbacks to doing higher chamber battles, is that you're going to be taking a lot of damage, and often more damage than you're putting out. So you're going to be using a lot of healing potions, and that's going to take up a lot of time. Jibs Entertainment recently put out this article by Anthony Constant, another YouTuber who I've talked about a few times here. I'll leave a link to his channel as well as a link to this post down below if you want to see those. But he talks through several different ways that different people can go without taking any damage at all. So I want to break down these methods and actually show you how they look on this skill tree here so that you can implement that yourself. So first we're going to look at the auras here. Now, an aura by nature is a glass cannon. In other words, they don't have a lot of stamina, they don't have a lot of hit points, but boy, they can pack a wallop. And so because of that, there is no way that an aura can bump up their defense to the point where they don't take any damage at all. But they can get their defense percentage very high. So if we look over here on the skill tree, if a professor bumps up all of their defense, so 1 and 2 here, they will have a base of 39%. So 39% of the damage that is dealt to them doesn't count. Also, they have a skill down here called Playing Dirty. And with this in place, if the stamina of the foe drops below 50%, then this will give an extra 10% defense to the aura. And then, if he happens to be playing with a professor who can give him the defense charm, that's another 30% that can be added to him. So there is a possibility that an aura could get up to 79%. So if you do all those things together, then it's going to be 79% of all the damage dealt to the aura doesn't happen. So if a foe is going to do 100 points of stamina damage, with all of these in place, that means that the foe is actually only going to do 21 hit points. So that is a huge savings. It's not perfect, and that is one of the problems with being a glass cannon. Yes, with everything stacked right, the aura does have the possibility of doing over 1,500 damage with all the possible things that can happen. But they're still going to be taking hits because, well, they're a glass cannon. So next, let's look over here at the professors. And this is one of the first ones where you can actually get over 100% here. So let's take this. So if a professor maxes out their defense and does all of these, then they will end up with 44% of defense. And that's pretty big right off the bat. The professor also has the defense charm right here, and then down here, and then down here below. And if you do all of these together, that will add another 30% to you. So you'll end up with 74%. As you can see here, with the charm applied to me, as well as having all of the defense maxed out, I'll have 74% of defense just sitting right there. And then we can start to get into the talents. So number one, we have the restricted sections right here. And this will provide another 6% as long as the foe has 1 impairment on them. So if the professor uses the deterioration hex, that will also give 6 more defense to the professor. And then down here we have confidence, and that will add another 6% as long as you have at least 1 enhancement. And you will have that because you're running the protection charm. To go any higher, we actually need the help of someone else. So next we have sparring specifics. This will add another 9%, a rather large jump, but this means that your foe needs to also have another impairment. So you need to have an aura in the group who can put a hex on them. So with another hex on the foe, that will get you up to 95% defense. Then we have team teaching down here. What this will do is it'll add another 9% defense as long as you have 2 enhancements on you. So you will have 1 enhancement from your own charm, but if another teammate then puts a second enhancement on you, then you'll get that last 9%. And in total, that brings you up to 104% defense. And with 104%, everything that gets thrown at you will do nothing. So that means you have a perfect defense and people can hit you all day long and nothing happens. That's kind of cool because then you don't have to think about healing potions. You won't get any damage. So then let's bounce over here to Magizooligest. So if a Magizooligest maxes out their defense, they have 50% defense, and that is pretty big because a Magizooligest is a tank. They are the ones who can take up a lot of damage, and it really just doesn't do that much. So 50% max defense is a great place to start. Next, we have 2 talents that can be added. Number 1, we have the Forum Quorum, and this will add another 6% as long as they have at least 50% stamina left in the tank. And then the big one down here is the Bird in Hand. As long as you have at least 5 focus in your tank, then this will give you another 15%. That brings your total up to 71%. And that's just right off the bat, 71% defense is huge. And then if you have a professor in the group who can give you a defense charm, that brings your defense up to 101%. So with that, a Magizoologist can take all the damage in the world and nothing actually happens to him. And that also brings me to one other thing here. If you're working with a group that a Magizoologist can do. Now, a Magizoologist has several different charms that they can do. Number 1, they have the Stamina Charm. And this is basically a healing potion that uses focus rather than potions. The downside to it is it takes 3 focus and you only get 1/3 of your stamina returned. And so it's a decent amount of focus for it, but it is a very good thing. In your pinch, you just need that much more. This works well. They also have the Revive Charm down here. Now, the Revive Charm will do 100% of stamina returned with only 1 focus. The caveat is the other person who you're going to put it on needs to be knocked out. And that's not a huge problem because once they get knocked out, then you just put this Revive Charm on them, they come back, they go back into the chamber. The downside is that takes time. That can take... if you do it really, really fast, it might be as short as 3 to 4 seconds, but most of the time with the real world reacting in there, it's around 10 seconds lost. And so if time is of the essence and you have the focus in your stockpile, then using the Stamina Charm is actually the better method to do. So being able to know the difference between using the Stamina Charm and using the Revive Charm is very important. Most of the time, the Revive Charm is better because it's just easier for them to get knocked out and come back in. But if you're in one of those high levels and you have the focus to be put onto it, then using the Stamina Charm is actually the better option. And this is one that we actually found in the video I put out a couple days ago, where we had 3 people playing. I had several people saying you should have used the Revive Charm, not the Stamina Charm. In that case, we used the Stamina Charm because we had more than enough focus to use the Stamina Charm, and that allowed us to get through the chamber faster because we didn't have to wait for the person to get knocked out, revived, and get back in. Also, with the Mending Charm that both the Magizoologist and the Professor have, a lot of people are saying it's worthless, don't ever use it. Well, no, that does have some worth. If you are sitting out and you're waiting for the chamber to finish, then you can put one of these on every 6 seconds. Number 1, that's going to give you more strategic spells cast, and that gets you closer to your achievement. But number 2, that can add up. Yes, it only does a couple % of stamina added, but a couple % every 6 seconds is a lot of stamina added, and over the course of a battle, that may end up being 60 to 70 more stamina added, and that can make a difference. Same thing with the Aura and the Bat Bogey Hex. Yes, the Bat Bogey Hex by itself doesn't do much, but it can be compounded, and if you're just sitting back in the chamber waiting for things to be done, you can put that on foes every 6 seconds, and that adds to your strategic spells, as well as it does add that slight benefit to the game. So it's not a worthless spell. It is a useful spell. It just doesn't have quite as much use as the others. And hey, it's free, so why not use it? Now with this, I'm really just scratching the surface of all of the things that can be done here because there are so many different combinations and ways that these can go together, especially when you get all 3 professions in the group. They can all work together in different ways, and that the Aura can give focus so that the Professor then can give the Protection Hex. And they go back and forth, and everyone works together, and it's one of these spider webs with lots of things coming out. And again, we're still scratching the surface because this is only the first skill tree, and they will be adding more in the future. So how this all comes together and how it builds out is going to be very, very interesting. So I hope you like this information. If you did, please let me know down below. Also, if you have any other ideas or things that you do that are really interesting, let me know those down below as well. If you did like the video, please hit like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell, become a patron on Patreon, maybe? All those things really do help the channel, and thank you for that. That means a lot to me personally. So I think that's about it for now, and until next time, have a magical day. I really hope this chocolate frog doesn't have 100% defense because I want to eat him. Ooh! Inches of Woodcraft.